quality candidates fast. Get in the end zone with ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/USL. ESPN NFL Insider, Adam Schefter podcast, and a great story that dropped yesterday on ESPN.com. Shefty, what was the most interesting nugget you felt you reported yesterday?
Well, I hadn't thought about it like that, Evan. I just think that I love doing that column. One of our editors, Dane Beavers, proposed doing it a couple of years ago. And, you know, you hear so much information and you're not sure what to do with it exactly all. And Dane Beavers said, well, why don't we just put it in a column? I'm like, great. And so it kind of takes me back to my newspaper writing roots. And, you know, you spend literally a month accumulating the information and just keep adding to it and refining it. And I guess it's sort of like writing a book, you know, leading up to the draft. And the book gets published, you know, the Monday of the draft. And I think it's the second or third straight year we've done it. It's at least the second. We might have done it 3 years ago. But really enjoy doing it. Like I said, it just takes me back to my roots.
Wow, you really avoided that one. Well done. Well done.
Little sidestep.
Thank you, Evan. Yeah. By the way, you could ask me about anything that's in that column.
Oh, man, Shefty, we're here at draft week, and Shedeur Sanders feels like the prospect that has the widest variance in terms of where he could go. Some people think he could be a top 5 pick. There are others think that he can slide to the bottom of round 1. I'm curious, based on what you're hearing, how concerned are NFL teams about Shedeur Sanders and his dad, Deion Sanders, potentially being an issue long-term for that franchise, considering a coach's job security? How real is that?
Yeah, I don't think a coach is thinking about that, making the pick today, but it's going to be a topic on your radio show in the months to come. It's going to come up because wherever he goes, that team is struggling and it doesn't have a secure, strong, comfortable coach. I mean, you know that issue is going to come up. I don't think that there's a team out there that's considering him saying, well, if we take him, there's going to be more pressure because fans are going to want Deion as the coach one day. I don't think anybody's saying that. But it's a reality that Deion is going to get linked to that job at some point in time if there's not a strong, secure, comfortable coach in that particular job.
Adam, let's stick with Shedeur for a second. When Shedeur Sanders and the Giants had that private workout last week, it got people talking about their interest in him. And my favorite nugget from this piece that was filled with fascinating information was about the Giants' interest in him at number 3 specifically. How real do you think that is?
Michelle, I think right now that seems to be one of the early pivot points of the draft. And best I can tell, my guess today would be that they're not going to take him at 3, but I will tell you that there are people out there who still maintain that they think he's going to be the pick. I don't. But I also am not ruling it out. And I also understand that there are people who are pretty intelligent who believe that he could be the pick. I don't think he will be the pick at 3. But, you know, you just never know how this is going to go. You just never know. I was thinking this morning, I'm in the airport right now on the way to Wisconsin. And it was the Tuesday that I was going to Dallas of draft week when I got a call on the way to the airport. It was a GM call. He's like, hey, are you aware of the fact that Baker Mayfield may go number 1 to the Browns? Now, again, we're sitting here, we remember what happened. But at that time, that year, I believe it was 2018, nobody had mentioned Baker Mayfield going number 1. Nobody in that draft until that Tuesday. And so my point to you is just that these things change. What we think today may not be applicable tomorrow or Thursday. Things are fluid. As we sit here today, my guess would be that Shedeur does not go number 3, that it's another pick, and that the Giants could be in play on him later in the first round, trading back, maybe in the second round. We'll see how it goes. But that's the first early question. Does Shedeur go 3? And my guess The answer to that is no, but I am not ready to rule that out either.
Shefty, reading through this story yesterday, picks 5 and 7 are the ones that jumped out to me because of what you wrote. You said Jacksonville, people around the league deem them to be a wild card simply because they don't know what their new GM is going to do. And unlike anything we've seen probably since Parcells with the Jets, that the Jets are moving in silence, which I think is a good move for them at this point. 5 and 7 have had my mind racing. Like, wow, could Shedeur end up in either of these spots? Yes, I said either of these spots, meaning Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, rumors, etc. Should our minds be wandering to that level with 5 and 7?
Well, Evan, first of all, you have a nose for news because those two things are interesting to me as well. And I think what's interesting to me, and I'll go beyond that, the 5, 6, 7 ratios. We're talking about 3 and the Giants and Shedeur. But at number 5, if we go over all the mock drafts in recent weeks, I think it's fair to say the majority of them all have Mason Graham going to Jacksonville. Would you not agree with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. The one thing
CC had that today, by the way. CC had that today before your he put it together before your story even came out in his mock draft. So yes.
Who had him there?
Chris Canty. CC.
Yeah. The one thing I feel pretty comfortable in saying is I don't believe that Mason Graham is going to go 5. Don't believe he's going 5.
Wow.
Okay. Ooh. So what is Jacksonville doing? And I wish I could give you the windy fingers up there. What is Jacksonville doing right now? But I'm not on camera, so I can't do that. But I am doing it in the airport right now. People look at me. Why does this guy have his fingers up in the air? And I would just say that the sense I'm getting is that Jacksonville very well, again, there's no absolutes. This is all informed speculation. But the sense I'm getting is that Jacksonville very well could be an offensive player. And it could be Ashton Genty, and it could be Chet McMillan. Like, we don't know where it's going right now. But I feel pretty comfortable in saying I don't think it's going Mason Graham. So there's 5. 6, everybody in the world is at Ashton Genty going there. And I'm not so sure about that either. I think that the Raiders are open to moving back. Whenever I hear a team is open to moving back, that tells me that they're not married to anyone at that spot. Now, that means they could stay at 6 and they could pick Ashton Genty, but they don't sound so committed to Ashton Genty currently that they're not prepared to move back. So everybody's got Mason Graham 5. I say no. Everybody's got Ashton Genty going 6. I say I'm not so sure about that. And the New York Jets, as you said, as I wrote, have moved in silence. There has been, in my mind, a concerted effort by this team to, as Aaron Glenn said at the owners' meetings, move in silence. And an organization that's had a lot of leaks in recent years has made it a point to make sure there are no leaks. Like in that column, the draft intel column that we put out yesterday on ESPN Plus, I reported that Tyler Warren, the great Penn State tight end, had a private workout for the Jets at their facility. That, not like it's some groundbreaking piece of information, don't get me wrong, but the Jets took steps to make sure that didn't even get out. Like, we didn't know that until yesterday, that he came through there.